Hello, this is Tracy Howcrumby with Beauty for Ashes with Tracy, and I am your host, Tracy Howcrumby. Beauty for Ashes is a self care, mental health awareness, and wellness podcast that encourages, empowers, and enlightens listeners on how to create wellness, overcome negative thinking, and develop strategies for a healthier mindset. How is everyone doing this afternoon? I'm hopeful that everyone is well. And I'm up to episode 8, and I'd like to discuss with you today on catering to your mental health. There is a lot of ways that we can cater to our mental health, but I think we first need to know what's normal and what's not normal concerning mental health. What's considered normal, your patterns and your thoughts or feelings or your behaviors can suggest when you need to get help for yourself or someone you care about. So, the difference between the normal and the abnormal parts of mental health or mental health disorders, sometimes there's a clear answer, and sometimes there is not one that's so obvious. An example is like right now, I've been speaking publicly on my podcast, but if I was afraid to speak normally, that would not mean that I have a mental health disorder. It might just be my nerves, you know. But when something becomes a social phobia, like I'm just shy and I don't want to speak in public, that may be a part of what's holding you back from being your best self and knowing is that normal for you. So we do know that mental health is our overall wellness about how we think, we regulate our feelings and the way we behave. And sometimes we experience significant disturbances in mental health and its functioning. So if you do have a disorder and it might be present, there's changes of patterns in your thinking, the way you feel, and sometimes the way you behave when stress is present or it disrupts your ability to function. And it can affect you and your family relationships, the way you function in social settings, the way you perform your work task or at your school. And it also can interfere with the way you participate in important activities. So we need to understand where we're at the level expected for our age and intelligence also when it comes to mental health. Cultural norms and social expectations also play a role in the disorder of your mental health. But there are standards that measures across cultures to determine whether your behavior is normal or if it becomes disruptive to your everyday life. So that's the first part when we're thinking about how can we cater to our mental health is to get help to understand the feelings that you're having, whether or not if they're normal or if they're not normal. So I would start there. So you can go to your health professionals to try to see if you do have a disorder and they can diagnose you. And you would just need the following. You would talk to them about your medical history, or, you'll get a physical uh, illness check or report, and they'll want to know if these things are prevalent in your family. And you'll also complete a physical and identity or rule out the condition that may be causing your symptoms, because that's going to be a complete physical to rule that out. Questions that you may have or concerns about why you're seeking help. You can also answer questions about some events or changes in your life that could have you uh, feeling the way that you feel. And there are a lot of questionnaires that are formal tests that you can do for yourself that can give you feedback on how you think and why you're behaving in typical situations that might not be um, clear to you. So you'll just be asked questions about your past, whether it be current alcohol and drug use. Had you had any family traumas? Are you experienced crisis in your family or any major life event changes? And it's definitely going to include a thought about and question about, are you considering violence against yourself or others? So everything is relevant when we're trying to cater to our mental health. So that is the portion where we need to understand what's normal and not normal so we will know how to cater to our mental health. You can get a treatment or an evaluation to know what is needed. Each professional in mental health has its own way of checking out your signs and symptoms and for your condition. So that might be necessary for you generally to go to your doctors, your professional healthcare uh, agencies, and tell them what you're experiencing. So changes may be in your personality, in your eating or sleeping. Are you having an inability to cope with daily activities? Are you feeling disconnected or withdrawn? You know, are you having even any unusual thoughts or thinking something is magical? Are you having anxiety? Prolonged sadness, depression, apathy, mood swings, anger, hostility, violent behavior, substance misuse, thoughts or statements about suicide or harming others. Many people who have mental health disorders may consider their signs and symptoms a normal part of their life, and they might want to avoid the treatment out of shame or fear. So this is why I guess I'm fighting so hard to end the stigma, because if we don't get people help, there won't be enough time to talk about it, because someone may harm themselves in a way that they can't return back from. So if you're concerned about someone's mental health, don't hesitate to try to get them to seek help. You have your primary doctors, you can get your appointments with your psychiatrist, your psychologist, any mental health professional. It's going to be important that you find a professional who is familiar with your culture or who demonstrates or understands your cultural and social context, because that might be relevant to your experience and your life story. So, with the appropriate support, everything will be okay. And they can identify your mental health condition so that you can receive the appropriate treatment. And that may include medication and counseling. So, knowing what's normal and not normal to you, that's the first part of catering to your mental health. I want to talk a little bit about the second part, which is how we can do this on a regular basis. We have to take value in ourselves. We have to treat ourselves with kindness and respect in order to get where we need to be emotionally. We have to have a greater thought of self worth and esteem. We have to avoid the self criticism that we may do from time to time, when we're hard on ourselves. When we value ourselves, we take time to do what's good for us, not this damaging. So do whatever you feel that you love. I think I talked about that last week on one of the episodes. Definitely do what you love to do, because we have to take care and value ourselves. We want to continue to take care of our body. Our physical mental health can be improved in our overall health. So, again, if we're eating right, we're avoiding some things like smoking and possibly vaping. That was a huge thing, especially starting to come into our teenage uh, environment. We want to get plenty of water, exercise, sleep, And it's also been said through research with the Mayo Clinic that they believe the lack of sleep contributes to a high rate of depression, especially in college students. So we want to continue to surround ourselves with good people, people from strong families and social connected connections. We're highly and likely more able to get support rather than people that's kind of withdrawn and they're not so close to anyone, and they're introverted and they may withdraw from family and friends and don't allow anyone to help them. So you need to just make plans with supportive people. If you have those in your life, that can be your friends. You need to seek out activities where you can meet people with the same interests as yourself. That could be a class or a support group or possibly a social club of some sort. You have to also, in catering to yourself, believe it or not, it does sometimes take giving of yourself. Because sometimes giving of yourself does make you feel good. It makes you feel valued. And that could include just volunteering, your time and energy to some causes and just possibly helping someone through something, helping them with anything. Someone's moving in your family, help them. Be open to be charitable with your time and with your energy. You'll feel probably better doing something tangible for someone else in need. And it's also going to be a great way for you to meet new people if you're joining up and engaging in groups that can help you feel better, more energetic, and looking at the time that you're spending with others doing something that's well worth your time as well as a help to others. And we have to also learn how to deal with stress. It's a part of life, whether we like it or not. Stress is a part of life. What we have to do is try to find ways to cope. We have to develop better coping skills to deal with things such as whatever may be affecting our life, whether it's changes in our environment, once again, whether it's new things that's happening, and we're trying to balance it all. Dealing with stress may be different for everyone, but even if you're doing anything to relieve your stress, like once again, your exercise, your walks, some people now have pets, now they are inclusive with having emotional support animals, things that you have in your life to help you reduce stress and maintain wellness. You can also smile, see the humor in life because there's no need to look at the all the negative and get so caught up in that. Research also shows that laughter boosts your immune system. It eases your pain. It relaxes your body, and it also can help you reduce stress. So that's really, really good news. Everything else we can do in catering to our mental health is, once again, always being mindful. Everything brings you back to mindfulness. Prayer improves your state of mind and your outlook on life. That is a part of self care in mental health. Faith is a part of self care because that's also a part of your community that you may have or surround yourself with. And that might be where you spend a lot of your time, whether you're volunteering, whether you're going for your youth group meetings or your choir practices or your women's group. I just spoke at a women's potluck a few days ago, and it was so blessed. And just to see everyone else excited and happy that I was able to share something, it had me so relaxed and it had me so at peace and it had me just so grateful. So anything that we can do to quiet our minds that can calm us and enhance our well-being. We just need to do that. So it's okay. Some ways it's spiritual, some are just in meditation, some are in other things. So in all of this, it's important that we know with catering to our mental health, we just continue to set realistic goals for ourselves. We have to decide what we want to achieve. We have to decide what we want to achieve. And in doing that, we write stuff down. Like I talked last week about making a self care plan. This is the same as involving a plan for your mental health, what you're going to do for yourself. It's all encompassed into self care. Write stuff down, take the steps you need to realize your goals. It's okay to aim high, but also take everything day by day as it comes. We can be realistic, don't overschedule things. This time in my life, I realized the way I need to do things, I'm taking it by quarters. So I might have for this entire year things that I'm going to do in a quarter. I'll set my goals for that. Then I look forward to what I'll do in the next quarter. Now, you can make it for the entire year, which would be 2 semesters. But either way, if you broke it up and just took on those tasks and checked it off as it goes, if you had future goals, it won't seem so far fetched because you're doing things one day at a time, or you're doing those things as need be, and you're not getting overwhelmed by them. You're continuously doing things at the pace that you need to. So that's very important to set your realistic goals. If you even need coaching, there's a lot of coaching now, and they help you strategize your life. They help keep you on track and help you to develop your goals to stay on track. So that's it. That's very important. We need to also break up the monotony, the way that we continuously do things in a routine. It's okay to switch it up sometimes. Routine can become mundane. So you want to make more efficient ways to do things and keep your feelings of security safe on how you're making these changes. Change your pace a little bit, or you can slow stuff down, or if you tend to speed things up, just know you need to strategize a way to tackle a tedious schedule if you want to break up the monotony. You might want to say, I normally do this every day, but guess what? I'm going to try it just once a week, or I'm going to move it to the weekends. I'm going to do it another way. It's so many things you can do. Like I know for a fact, again, I think I've shared this before, I would prefer being outside, enjoying nature and walking in fresh air. But I know also I can come in my house and get on my treadmill. I can go to the gym and get on a treadmill, where then I'm not alone. I'm in a more social setting, and you're able to, watch everyone else uh, press towards their goals, or if you're even working out and you are jogging or walking, take a different path. You might walk one trail, or you've been doing one area that you normally walk in, go somewhere else. Even if you are going to a restaurant, the same restaurant, sometimes we get hooked on things that we love for is our foods and the dishes and the places that you get it from. Start trying new things, start doing new things that can spark your senses and can also give you more ideas to incorporate into, okay, if I get tired of this, I'm able to do this. So it doesn't keep you in a rut, and it helps you break up the monotony. And two, in trying to cater to your mental health, we do have to do things in moderation. So that means your alcohol, or, some people do recreational things of that nature, but you can keep things at a minimum. You can keep things in moderation. We don't want to self medicate. We don't want to use alcohol or drugs to self medicate, because in reality, we only already know that this only aggravates our problems. So we need to know more about the real reason why we may be overindulging in things. If you're over drinking, or if you're uh, overeating, or if you're doing things that that you need to probably do more in moderation, as far as your nutrition, your health, anything, just kind of make some changes in that. And you also definitely 100% need to get help when you need it. Seeking help is not a weakness, it's a sign of strength. It's important to remember that, because that can help your treatment become more effective. If we can get the appropriate care, you can recover from anything, from mental illness, from, disease, from everything that may come up on us, because we have sought early intervention. So this can lead to having a more rewarding life. And this is what we need to just make sure we're cognizant of. So we need to practice and understand individually what's normal and what's not normal. And again, in considering that, think about your patterns and your thoughts, your feelings and behavior, because this can suggest when is it important for you or someone you love to seek help. Look at the patterns in thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. They say a lot. And we talked about the difference between normal mental health and the disorders. The answer, once again, is not always clear, but its distinction also may not be that obvious. So we need to get more informed and educated on some of the things that need to identify what some of the disorders are, and what some of our feelings are. Would they be considered something that causes us to seek professional help when needed? Our overall wellness and how we think and regulate our feelings and behave is key, is very, very important that we understand that, because when that is disturbed, that's when we're experiencing a significant part of the mental health or our mental state starting to malfunction. A disorder could be present. So we want to know in our patterns and in our changes and in our thinking, what is disrupting this ability for us to do our daily norms? What is considering or causing us to have an issue? Is it the relationships that we're holding on to? Is it our social settings? Is it our schedules? Is it where we're at our level of expectation and we're thinking we should be higher? And that's starting to build up our anxiety. Is it the way that we participate in activities? Is it just our cultural norm? Is it our environments? Is it things that has been passed down to us, learned behavior, generational practices, things that we need to cut ties with because it is weighing on our mental health. In order to cater to our mental health, we first need to assess ourselves, examine ourselves, see where we're lacking, seeing where we can have improvement. And again, this may introduce professional help for those who need it. It may introduce medications for your self care and mental health if there is a disorder discovered. My instruction as a mental health first aid instructor, my instructions are to never, so this is not me advising any medical advice in any way. This is just me sharing information with you. All of this is relevant in our society today. So, what concerns me definitely, possibly, is concerning you. We don't have a standard that measures across cultures to determine whether a behavior is normal or when it becomes disruptive. We just have to know that there's something happening to yourself personally that you want to make sure you get help for. Early intervention in catering to your mental health is key. It's key. Is key to a successful outcome. There's so many things that have been published. There's so many things that have been written. We just need to be more informed, more well educated, read up on it. I have the classes in mental health first aid. That's a 3-year certification training that will help you to be able to identify some of the signs and symptoms, not diagnose, but identify with them, be able to know when someone is in a crisis, whether it's a worsening symptom, just to know some of the things about mental health challenges and mental health disorders and mental illnesses, as well as substance abuse. We're out here amongst people every day and we don't know what they're going through from home to work to the stores to our church, even in our families. So let us just be more aware of how we need to cater to our mental health and what we can say that's normal and not for us to get the help we need. And then understand as well what we need to do for ourselves. Value yourself. Take care of your body. Surround yourself with good people. Give of yourself. Learn how to deal with your stress. Quiet your mind. Set realistic goals. Break up the monotony. Avoid the alcohol and other drug use. Do things in moderation. Get help when it is needed. This is something so important to me to share with you. I hope you all subscribe. I hope you share this information. I hope you take it upon yourself to make sure someone else is doing okay. Be kind to one another. We don't know what anyone is going through out here in this world. Times are getting harder. Well, we keep our faith, we keep our hope, we keep our peace. But when our peace is disrupted or someone around us, peace is disrupted, we have to know how we can help because we are all helpers one to another. This is Tracy Howcrombie, your host with Beauty for Ashes with Tracy, the self care, mental health awareness, and wellness podcast to encourage, empower, enlighten all listeners on how to create wellness, overcome your negative thinking, and develop healthier mindset strategies. Thank you for listening. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.